Hey guys, so I just wanted to make a video series about how to get started on Morterra. So I'll go over the basics of controls and how to get tools, and then I'll grow all the way to how to build a base and lock it and everything. So I'll probably have a multi-part video series where each video is about 10 minutes, and then I'll just chop it up from there. So getting started, if you want to play Morterra, just go to morterra.com. It's a browser game, so you don't have to download anything. You can just load it and then play on your browser. So once you get there, you can either click play now and this will just generate a random account for you. Or if you want to, pick your own username and everything, you can register an account up in the top right corner, and then you can just sign in anytime, and you can continue where you left off. So the perks of registering would be, picking your own username, but also if you die, you can just respawn with the same account, as opposed to with this generated account. When you die, your account just gets deleted. So there's a bunch of other perks with that too, like registered accounts can place sleeping bags, and then that just acts as a respawn point. So I would definitely suggest registering an account, but for this video, I'm just gonna generate an account and then just play from there. So if I die, that'll just be an interesting experience. So yeah, just click play now. First thing you'll see is a tutorial. I would highly recommend, even if you watch this video, I'd highly recommend read through it. There's a lot of people who get on here and they start asking questions about basic things, and there's a tutorial that kind of explains all the basic stuff. So if you're watching this video, you should have a good idea of how to play though. So anyways, once you get on, you'll use your mouse to turn. So if you just drag your mouse along, it'll the screen, it's like a first person shooter. It just follows the mouse, and then you can walk around with WASD keys. So by clicking those will walk you around, and then you can hold shift to run, so you go a lot faster. So the main thing is, if you look in the top left corner, there's the different levels. And so you have your health, you have your hunger, you have your thirst, you have your karma, and then you have your total weight. So health is obvious. Once that hits 0, you die, so you want to try to keep that as high as possible. Hunger, you want to try to keep that up too, because as your hunger goes down, if you're starving, it'll kill you over time. Same thing with thirst. If you're dehydrated, you'll die over time as well. Karma is kind of a complex thing where as you interact with other players, if you have high karma, then you're a good player. If you have low karma, you're a bad player. And so if you do bad things to good players, your karma will become worse. So it's just kind of an incentive for players. It's a way for people to know if players are good or bad. So if you're walking around and you see another player and their name is red, you'll know they're a bad player, and you could kill them with no consequence. Same thing with their base. If you went to raid their base, you could raid it with no consequence. So and then weight is just, the objects or the items that you're carrying will add up in weight, and then the more weight you have, the slower you'll run, the slower you'll attack and everything. So ideally you would keep it lower, but it ends up adding up as you gather resources. So the main concept of the game is that it's just survival, right? So when you log out, you don't actually disappear like a lot of other games. Your player just falls asleep on the ground, and so anybody could come up and kill you. So everywhere on the whole map, people can kill you and take your stuff. Once you die, you're basically dead. So, and all of your stuff drops on the ground. So the first thing I would say when you log in is just try to get your levels up a little bit. Like I just picked that apple and ate it. You can pick fruit off of the bushes. And, there's different vegetables and stuff that grow across the map, so you can you can pick those up and eat them. And then I got my health up all the way, or my hunger up all the way, so now I should be good for a little while with that. My thirst is at 58%, so I'm going to find a pond to drink. So if I just find a pond, you can drink it, and see now my levels are all the way up. So I've got a good amount of time before I start starving or anything like that. So as you walk around the map, you'll see different things like animals, and then bases, other players, things like that. And all of them have their own interaction. So like that horse is running away from me. If I could catch that horse, you could ride the horse around. So the first things first is probably the most critical part of the game, is just getting tools. So the first thing is finding these piles of rubble on the ground. And so you can press E to pick them up, and then you'll get a random piece of stone, right? So I got a sharp rock, I got another sharp rock, another sharp rock. Let me go find another until I get a blunt rock, another sharp rock. Alright, so I got my first blunt rock. So the cool thing about each types of rock is they have their own use. So I just picked it again and I found a flint. So those are the three main things you'll find from rubble. The sharp rock can be used as a cutting tool, so either a knife or a hatchet. So if you wanted to cut down a tree, you could use a sharp rock to do that. A blunt rock can be used as any sort of blunt tool, so a hammer or a pickaxe, right? And then a flint can be used to start a fire. So if I want to cut this tree, I can use the sharp rock to do that. And now I have a log. So you can use these rocks that you find in rubble as a primitive tool. The bad side about it is every time you use it, it breaks. So you have to go and find more from another rubble pile every time you use it. So as soon as possible, you want to make tools so that you don't have to constantly look through rubble to find your tools. So now once you get that and you cut down a log, you can place it by wielding it. So you can scroll to select which item you're wielding, and then you can place it just by clicking on the ground. So I place it on the ground, and now with my flint, I can start a fire by pressing E on it. So now I can use this fire. If I had some ores or some meat or anything like that, I could cook it on the fire. But I don't right now, so I'll come back to that. So the first thing with blunt rocks is you can mine with them, right? So you can go up, you find a small boulder, and get some small iron ore. So now I have some iron ore to use. I can go back to my fire, and I can smelt it on the fire. So now I have an iron bar. So small iron bars can be used for various tools. There's also different types of boulders around the map. There are different sizes. So in the distance I can see a couple large boulders, so I'll go mine one of those. So here's one, so I can press E to mine it and get a large ore. So you get the ore size is depending on the size of boulder that you mine. So this medium boulder, when I mine it, I'll get a random medium ore. So far I've just been getting iron, which is a pretty common one. Another very common one is aluminum. And there are a whole bunch of types of metals, and some are stronger, some are heavier, and they all have their own attributes, and they're based on real life attributes. So if you know your chemistry or your periodic table, then you'll have a good idea of what metals are stronger and heavier and stuff like that. So once I have my iron bars, I can use them to craft. So I'm going to go and find a large tree, because to make a workbench, you need a large log. So I cut down I got my large log here. And in my quick crafting menu, you see you can craft a few different items. But one of them is the workbench. The workbench is the most primitive crafting object that you can make. So it says I need a blunt rock and a large log to make it. So let me go find a blunt rock real quick. Alright, so I got my blunt rock and I got my large log. So now I can craft a oak workbench, and then I can place it on the ground. And now I can use that workbench to craft all different types of tools. So if I have these, if I have the bar required, I can craft these tools. So I have the bars required. The only problem is I don't have the hammer to use. So I'm just going to get one blunt rock, and then I'm going to craft myself a hammer. That way I can use this hammer to craft everything else I need. So now the next object used for crafting is an anvil, right? So the workbench is good for crafting basic tools and any sort of wood construction object. But the anvil is good for making more advanced weapons, armors, and then any sort of metal construction object. So I'll craft this anvil real quick, and then I'll place it on the ground. Alright, so now I have the anvil, and you can see you have a whole bunch of more options. So you have swords, maces, mauls, axes, all the armor, all the metal construction objects, keys and locks. So it opens up a lot more crafting. So you have your basic crafting menu here, you have your workbench crafting menu for tools and basic wood objects, and then you have your anvil for more advanced weapons, armors, and then metal construction objects. So that'll wrap up the first video. Hopefully that helps everybody get a basic idea of how to play. I'll start up the next video, and then you can get an idea of how to set up a base, get a base going, and things like that. So thanks for watching.